You ever have one of those dreams where you see yourself from the outside, like you're watching someone else's life unravel in real time? Yeah. That was me standing in my sister's kitchen, holding a damn casserole, watching my husband kiss my twin like they were reenacting a Nicholas Sparks scene. The worst part? They didn't even flinch. Let me rewind. I'm Ava, 34, live in Austin, work in marketing for a mid-sized tech firm that pays me well enough to ignore its bro energy most days. I've been married to Jake for 6 years. And my twin, Ivy, she's the charming, chaotic one. Always has been. While I wore cardigans and color-coded my highlighters in high school, Ivy snuck out of algebra to smoke clove cigarettes with boys who had guitars and no futures. We were close once, womb mates, as she used to say, until life got messy and loyalty became optional. It was Sunday. I'd made lasagna for family dinner, a tradition I clung to like a life raft in a sea of I'm too busy texts. Jake had said he'd meet me there after running errands. Ivy texted me that morning. Can you come a little early? Need help with the table settings? She even added a heart emoji. Cute, right? When I walked in, the house was quiet. No smells from the kitchen. No sound of Ivy's usual chaos. Just soft jazz playing like we were in some mid-tier wine bar. And then, around the corner, there they were. Jake's hand on her hip, her fingers tangled in his hair, his lips where mine had once been. I didn't drop the casserole. That's the part that surprises people. I didn't scream or cry or make a scene. No, I stood there like a statue in a department store window, watching the mannequins play house. And then Ivy saw me. Her eyes widened. Jake turned slowly, like his brain couldn't compute what was happening. I saw the color drain from his face the exact moment he realized he wasn't just kissing a woman, he was kissing my genetic copy. The irony was poetic, if not deeply nauseating. Ava, Ivy said, breathless, like I'd just interrupted her mid-poetry reading. Jake stepped forward. This isn't... Save it, I said, calm. Too calm. I set the lasagna on the counter, adjusted my sleeve, took a long look at both of them, burned the image into my memory like a tattoo made of betrayal. Then I smiled, just a hint, the kind of smile that says, you just activated something in me, you won't survive. They thought that was the explosion. Oh, honey, that was just the spark. You know what's worse than your husband sleeping with your twin sister? Discovering it wasn't the first time, and definitely not the last. I didn't just want revenge. I wanted an education in their sins. And I was about to enroll myself in every dirty secret they thought they'd buried. The first thing I did after I left Ivy's house? I drove to a 24-hour diner, ordered a cinnamon roll the size of a steering wheel, and stared at the wall for an hour. I didn't cry. Not because I wasn't hurt. I was. But because I felt like crying would somehow validate them. Like giving them tears would be a gift they didn't deserve. Instead, I pulled out my phone and did what any betrayed woman with a marketing degree and a caffeine addiction would do. I made a plan that started with data. Because here's the thing, when you're the responsible one in the family, people forget how dangerous you can be with a Google Drive and a grudge. Step 1, I checked our shared Apple Calendar. Jake's was filled with vague entries like client meeting and strategy sync. Real original. One of them? Marked for last Tuesday. Late dinner, Wahash investor. Which, funny enough, aligned perfectly with the Insta story Ivy posted from her quiet night in. That story had a wine glass, 2 plates, a candle. I zoomed in. The reflection in the glass? A familiar cufflink. Jake's. So I got forensic. I logged into our smart home account, pulled the Nest footage. The front door camera showed Jake leaving Tuesday evening in the same navy blazer he wore the night we got engaged. Poetic, really. An hour later, Ivy's address popped up in the Tesla navigation history. Rookie move. Next, I checked our Amazon orders. Ivy had been using my husband's account to order things to her address. Silk sheets, organic massage oil, a 5-pack of burgundy candles labeled Aphrodisiac Blend. I nearly choked on my coffee. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't an affair. It was a whole damn lifestyle. But here's where it got dark. That night, I went home, pulled out Jake's old iPad, the one he never used anymore, and turned it on. Forgot he synced it with his phone, didn't you, baby? Messages, emails, photos. Oh my God, the photos. There was one of Ivy in my robe. My robe, standing in our bedroom mirror like it belonged to her. There were selfies from hotel rooms I recognized from credit card charges, the ones Jake claimed were business trips. There was a message from Ivy, time-stamped 2:17 a.m., that read, "She'll never find out. She trusts you too much." Oh, Ivy, you always were a little dumb when it came to me. By 3:00 a.m., I had a full folder labeled Operation Swan Dive, because when I take someone down, I do it with grace, elegance, and a splash so big they never forget it. He thought I'd be shattered. She thought I'd stay silent. But what neither of them knew is that I wasn't planning a breakdown. I was staging a performance, and opening night was coming sooner than they thought. The hardest part wasn't finding out. It was pretending like I didn't know. For 3 full days, I walked around the house with a mask so flawless, even the devil would have clapped. Jake came home late Monday, smelled like hotel soap and guilt, said he had back-to-back pitches, and was wiped. I handed him a beer, kissed his cheek, and smiled like a woman who didn't just spend 6 hours cataloging every dirty secret in his camera roll. "I thought we could go up to the lake house this weekend," I offered. "Get some quiet, reconnect." He blinked, surprised, caught off guard. But when you offer a man a getaway and a chance to clear his conscience without confrontation, they take it every time. "Yeah, that sounds perfect," he said. Of course it did. The lake house was my parents' place. A glass and cedar beauty in Marble Falls that they let us use when we needed a break from the city. Jake always called it our reset button. Ironic. This time it was going to be more like his Ctrl plus Alt plus Delete. By Thursday, I'd finished assembling what I called the drop, a meticulously curated portfolio of betrayal. Screenshots, timestamps, synced GPS data, email logs, Instagram receipts, even a spreadsheet with hotel addresses matched to credit card swipes. My therapist would call this hypervigilance. I call it closure in a folder. Friday morning, I packed my bags, and Jake's, and headed out early to prep the house. He'd meet me that night, but what he didn't know was that Ivy was coming too. How? Easy. I texted her from a burner number. "Hey babe, weekend's still on. Ava's got a retreat. Meet me at the lake house tonight. Don't tell anyone. Let's make it special." She replied in under 10 seconds. "I'll bring wine and lingerie." I almost laughed. The way she was skipping toward betrayal like it was a boutique spa retreat. What she didn't know? I'd invited someone else too. My best friend June, ride or die since sophomore year. We're opposites. I plan. She executes. Think Olivia Pope, but with better lashes and a more chaotic moral compass. "You're really doing this?" she asked as we loaded gear into the back of my car. "I'm not going for revenge," I said, tightening the strap on a GoPro. "I'm going for clarity," she snorted. "And humiliation. Don't forget humiliation." I smiled. That's just the icing. The lake house was stocked. The cameras were rolling. The wine was chilling. And my sister was walking into the lion's den in heels she probably borrowed from me. They thought it was a getaway. What they got was the final act. And the curtain was about to rise. Ivy showed up first. Of course she did. My sister has never missed an opportunity to be early to her own drama. She pulled up in her white SUV around 6:45 p.m., looking like a Hallmark villain in soft curls and an off-the-shoulder sweater, the same one I loaned her last winter and never got back. The irony was almost too much. June and I watched from the upstairs loft through the smart security feed synced to my laptop. 3 angles, one in the living room, one in the kitchen, and the pièce de résistance, the hallway cam facing the guest room where I knew she'd try to mark her territory. "Girl, this is some Gone Girl meets Big Little Lies level production," June whispered, sipping her wine. "You think I'm letting her slither in without lighting the stage?" I said. "Please." I storyboarded this confrontation like it was a Sundance submission. Ivy walked in like she owned the place, carrying a bottle of Merlot and something silky tucked into a paper bag. She called out, "Jake," in that breathy voice she always used to get her way in high school. No answer. She shrugged, slipped off her heels, and helped herself to a glass of wine. 10 minutes later, Jake arrived. Hair slicked, shirt untucked just enough to look spontaneous. He had that smirk on his face, the one I used to think was sexy. Now, it looked like a mask stapled onto a coward. "I missed you," he said, setting down his duffel and grabbing her waist. They kissed. I flinched, not because it hurt, but because it didn't anymore. Watching them felt like seeing actors playing a scene I'd already outgrown. June leaned over. "So what's the cue?" I smiled. "Right after dinner, when they've eaten my food, poured my wine, and made themselves real comfortable." Downstairs, I had set the table beautifully. Candles lit, music cued, a roast chicken in the oven, stuffed with lemon and rosemary. My recipe. The one Jake used to request on his birthday. They didn't question it. Of course they didn't. They thought they were the main characters in a secret romance, not guests at their own public execution. They laughed. They flirted. Ivy made some offhand comment about how this place feels more like home than hers. That's when June almost choked on her wine. "She really said that? In your damn family's house?" "Oh," I said. "Just wait." Because under each dinner plate, a custom-printed card, thick cardstock, embossed lettering, 2 words. "Smile. You're on camera. They say you can't serve revenge cold. I disagree. You just have to plate it pretty, pour the wine, and let your sister chew on her own betrayal while the cameras roll. Dessert? Oh, honey. That's when I bring out the footage." The moment Jake lifted his plate and saw the card, his whole body locked up like I'd hit him with a taser. Ivy took a beat longer. She tilted her head, read it out loud. "Smile. You're on camera?" Then looked around the room, suddenly unsure if she was in a romantic weekend or a sting operation. That's when I stepped out from the hallway. Hair curled, black dress, red lip. June called it my funeral for your lies look. Appropriate, I think. Jake shot up so fast his chair screeched across the hardwood. "Ava, what?" I held up a finger. "Sit." He did. Ivy blinked. Her face turned ghost white, then fire red. "What is this?" I walked to the head of the table. "Oh, just a little dinner. A chance to share a meal. You two are so close now, after all." "Wait," Jake started. "You don't understand." "Oh, I understand everything," I said, sliding a thick envelope onto the table. "In fact, I brought receipts. Literally. Screenshots, GPS logs, credit card charges, video clips. Oh, and my favorite, the audio file of you two planning this weekend in my house like I don't pay the damn property tax." Ivy opened the envelope, then immediately slammed it shut like it burned her hands. Jake stood, pacing now, like a caged animal. "This isn't fair, Ava. You can't just—" "I can. I did. And I'm not even close to done." June, from the loft, hit play on the synced speaker system. Suddenly, the room filled with the sound of Ivy's voice. A recording crystal clear. "She'll never find out. She still trusts you. You've got her so wrapped around your finger." Jake's voice followed, low and smug. "We'll do the lake house this weekend. After that, I'll talk to her. We'll figure something out." I locked eyes with him. "Figure what out, Jake? How to dump me while still keeping my Netflix login? Or were you hoping I'd just disappear quietly and let you two live happily ever after in my robe and my house?" Ivy whispered. "You're insane." I tilted my head. "No, I'm strategic. You two lit the match. I just designed the fireworks show." Jake moved toward me like he was going to plead, maybe reach for my hand. I stepped back. "Don't. You don't get closeness now. You lost that somewhere between hotel receipts and deleted texts." And then, my favorite part, I walked to the kitchen, opened the oven, and pulled out the roast chicken. "Dinner's still hot. Might as well enjoy it. It's the last meal you'll have here." Ivy looked like she was about to cry. Jake looked like he was about to throw up. I just looked calm, like a woman who'd burned her past down and walked away with the only thing that mattered, her power. You'd think the humiliation would be enough, but no. Jake still had one more card to play. Unfortunately for him, I'd already stacked the deck. And Ivy? She was about to learn what it feels like to be out-twinned. Jake had always underestimated me, and Ivy? She never even tried to understand me. That was her first mistake. Thinking being my mirror made her my equal. So when the footage stopped playing and the silence settled like smoke after a bomb, Jake cleared his throat like he had something noble to say. "I know what this looks like," he started. "Stop," I said. "You don't get to monologue. This isn't a redemption arc. This is your season finale." He frowned. "I was going to tell you. We didn't mean for it to happen. It just... Spare me the Hallmark Channel script, Jake. People don't accidentally have affairs in 3-star hotels and matching silk robes." He flinched. "Good. Let it sting." Ivy crossed her arms. "So what? You exposed us? Now what? You gonna post this online? You drag your own family through the mud?" That's when I smiled, slowly, wickedly. Because, oh sweetheart, she still thought this was about revenge, about scandal. But my game was bigger. "I'm not dragging anyone," I said. "I'm liberating myself." Jake scoffed. "By humiliating us?" "No," I replied, walking over to the mantel where I had placed a small black box. "This is how I'm ending it." I pressed the remote. Behind them, the flat screen lit up with a Google Slides presentation. Title slide: How to Ruin a Marriage in 10 Easy Lies, a Case Study. The next slide: Their joint Airbnb profile. I had screenshots of them renting cabins in my name, using my credit card. Ivy had even messaged a guest pretending to be me. I found that through a recovery email they forgot was still linked to my inbox. Jake's face drained. "Wait, how did you... You logged in from my laptop, genius," I said. "Guess you didn't realize autosync was on." Then came the big one, a PDF titled The Prenup. I turned to Jake. "Did you forget? You signed it after your 3rd failed startup, remember? Clause 12. Infidelity nullifies your financial claim." He looked like he'd just been slapped by the ghost of common sense. You wouldn't," he stammered. "Oh, but I already filed," I said, dropping the divorce papers on the table like a mic. "My lawyer's on retainer, and she loves a good narrative." Ivy laughed. A brittle, shrill thing. "You think you've won? You're still alone." "No," I said calmly. "I'm finally free." And then, for the grand finale, I handed Ivy a manila envelope with her name on it. She opened it slowly, confused. Inside, a copy of her lease agreement, the one I co-signed last year when she was between jobs. "Oh, right," I added. "You default, I collect. Hope you enjoy your new monthly invoice. Interest applies." I walked toward the door, heels clicking like punctuation. June opened it for me, grinning like a proud chaos coach. Jake and Ivy stood frozen. I turned back, one last time. "Being betrayed by the 2 people closest to me?" I said. "That was the plot twist. Taking back control? That's the character development." I walked out of that house with my head high and my enemies stunned silent. But the thing about exposing snakes is, sometimes they hiss back. And Jake? He wasn't done slithering. You know that feeling when you think the storm's over, only to realize it was just the eye? That was me, 3 days after walking out of the lake house like a damn queen, thinking I'd served my justice hot, cold, and garnished with lemon wedges of poetic irony. I underestimated him. See, Jake may have been a cheating narcissist with all the emotional depth of a puddle, but he wasn't stupid. Sloppy, sure. But once cornered, he had the cunning of a rat in a maze, biting at anything that threatened the fantasy he'd built. It started with a call from HR. That's right, our HR. Because Jake and I worked at the same company, remember? He was a senior strategist. I was the head of digital campaigns. Different departments, same floor. Normally that would have made post-breakup life awkward. But Jake? He tried to make it unbearable. "Ava, we just need to ask a few questions," said Sandra, our HR director. She looked uncomfortable, like someone who knew they were about to step into a flaming dumpster of drama. Jake submitted a complaint. I stared at her. "He what?" She cleared her throat. "He says you accessed his personal email and exposed private communication in a public setting. That there may be grounds for digital harassment." I actually laughed so hard I had to set down my coffee before I dropped it on the floor. "Do you know what digital harassment looks like, Sandra?" I asked, because I have a folder that looks a hell of a lot like identity theft and workplace misconduct. I handed her a USB. I didn't access anything illegally. Everything was synced to devices he left logged in, company devices, I might add. And the footage? Taken in a property I own, with full disclosure signs on every door. Check the timestamps. Also, I slid a second envelope across the desk. These are screenshots of him messaging a junior analyst on Slack, asking if she wanted to collaborate over wine. Real professional. Sandra's mouth fell open. "Oh. Wow." "Yeah," I said. "Wow." It took 2 days for HR to investigate. Jake was placed on indefinite leave pending review. Ivy, of course, ghosted work completely. She texted me once, some tragic, grammatically broken thing like, "I didn't know it would ruin everything." I didn't respond. Because what do you say to that? Of course you didn't. You've never had to clean up the messes you make. But the real kicker came that weekend. I was home, candles lit, hair in a bun, watching The Handmaid's Tale for emotional validation, when my phone buzzed. An unknown number. "Hello?" There was a pause. Then, "You ruined my life." "Jake." I didn't say anything. Let the silence simmer. "I lost my job. Ivy's staying at her mom's. My accounts are frozen." "You... Jesus, Ava. What the hell did you want from me?" I took a breath. I wanted honesty. Accountability. But since you couldn't give me that, I took the next best thing. Receipts. "You're heartless," he said. "No," I replied. "I'm just done being your emotional sponge." He scoffed. "You think you're better than me?" I didn't answer. He wasn't asking a question, he was panicking. That night, I posted a photo on Instagram. Just me, holding a glass of wine, captioned, "Turns out betrayal looks good in rear view. #unbothered, #unghosting myself." It got 418 likes in 2 hours. Including one from his boss. Petty, maybe. Satisfying, deeply. I knew Jake would spiral. Narcissists always do when their mirror walks away. But I wasn't afraid of his temper anymore. I had everything documented. I had backup plans for my backup plans. But what I didn't expect was the DM I got the next day. From her, my twin sister, the one who betrayed me, the one who helped set fire to my marriage. She was in my inbox with one sentence. "I need to tell you something you don't know." And the thing is, I wasn't sure I wanted to hear it, but I opened it anyway. Her message came in at 2:04 a.m., because of course it did. Guilt has terrible timing, like a drunk ex showing up at your wedding reception. "I need to tell you something you don't know." I stared at the screen for a full 5 minutes. Not because I didn't know what to say, but because I was calculating what version of Ivy I was about to get. The victim, the manipulator, or the performative empath who cried without tears. I typed back, "Make it quick." She replied instantly, "It wasn't just Jake. He wasn't the first. You need to know the truth about what happened 3 years ago. About Owen." My stomach flipped. Owen. Now that was a name I hadn't said out loud in years. Owen had been my fiancé, the one before Jake, the one who broke off our engagement with a vague email about not feeling aligned after a 2-week silent treatment that left me hollow. The one I never really got closure from. Just a ring mailed back in a padded envelope, no note. My brain immediately rejected the implication. No. No way. She wouldn't. But then Ivy sent a photo. One I'd never seen before. It was dated March 23rd, 3 years ago. Time stamped at 2:14 a.m. And there they were, Ivy and Owen, in a grainy mirror selfie. Her head on his shoulder, his hand on her waist, shirtless. The caption? Should we tell her? LOL JK. I froze. Not from shock, from confirmation. Because in my gut, I'd always felt something was off about how suddenly Owen vanished. How weird Ivy had acted around me afterward, offering faux concern with lines like, "Some guys just can't handle commitment, Ava. You deserve better." She knew what she was doing. And I realized something horrifying in that moment. Jake wasn't the first betrayal. He was just the first one I caught in time to burn. I typed, "Why are you telling me this now?" Her reply, "Because I'm pregnant. And I don't know if it's Jake's. I thought maybe if I told you, we could rebuild." Oh, Ivy. Sweet delusional Ivy. Rebuild? You don't rebuild with termites. You fumigate the whole damn house. I didn't respond. I powered off my phone, sat in the dark with a glass of wine, and tried to wrap my head around the fact that my own twin sister had been running a personal demolition crew on every relationship I'd tried to build for the last decade. It wasn't about Jake anymore, or even Owen. It was about pattern, control, envy. I remembered the way she used to mimic me when we were kids, steal my clothes, copy my handwriting, once even told a boy I liked that she was Ava to see what he'd say. I thought it was just weird twin stuff, but now I saw it clearly. She didn't want to be like me. She wanted to be me. That morning, I walked into my office, shut the door, and called June. "New plan," I said. She yawned. "Did we not already stage the emotional homicide?" "Oh, honey," I said. "Turns out I was too merciful. We're not done." I explained everything. The Owen bombshell, the pregnancy confession, Ivy's sudden urge to make things right. June went quiet. Then, "So, we're going nuclear?" "No," I said. "We're going surgical." Because it wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about making sure Ivy never got the chance to hijack my life again.
I let them burn down my peace once. Now I was building something fireproof. And I was about to show Ivy what happens when the girl she tried to copy learns how to outmaneuver her every move. There's something dangerously satisfying about turning your pain into a blueprint. I spent years trying to protect Ivy. Forgive her, make excuses for her chaos. But when someone tries to become you twice, you stop seeing family and start seeing a threat. So I stopped thinking like the heartbroken sister and started thinking like the brand strategist I actually am. Because you can only steal someone's identity for so long before the real version starts marketing herself better. The first thing I did was call an attorney, not mine, a new one, a woman named Karina Diaz, highly recommended, cutthroat with a velvet voice. She specialized in identity disputes, reputation protection, and what she delicately referred to as high-conflict sibling scenarios. "I want to take back my name," I told her, "reclaim what's mine. And I want a wall so thick around my life that Ivy couldn't scale it with a rocket launcher." Karina didn't flinch. "Do you have documentation of the damage?" I nearly laughed. "I have a full Google Drive." She said the words I didn't know I needed to hear. "Then it's time we build your firewall." We started with my professional identity. Turns out Ivy had applied for freelance work using my name. Literally, my name, my photo too. She'd created a Fiverr account as Ava Langley, offering digital brand strategy consultations. I hadn't noticed because I don't spend my nights Googling myself. But Karina did. And when she showed me the profile, I almost threw my phone across the room. There she was, My twin, my copy, wearing my brand like a costume she stole off the hanger of my life. I reported the profile, sent proof of ID. It was taken down in 24 hours. But Karina didn't stop there. She filed cease and desist letters to every single platform where Ivy had tried to be Ava, Etsy shops, LinkedIn aliases, even a YouTube channel where she had the audacity to post productivity hacks using phrases lifted from my actual blog posts. "You've got a stalker in sister's clothing," Karina said, "but don't worry, we're cutting off her supply chain." Then came the personal firewall. I locked down my finances, changed my legal name, just one letter, enough to throw off any fraud attempts, updated all passwords, moved to two-factor authentication like I was guarding nuclear codes. I filed to dissolve the joint business account I'd once co-signed with Ivy when she had that failed jewelry Etsy phase. And get this, she had reactivated it, probably to reroute funds or fake invoices. Frozen. Gone. I even filed a formal identity fraud alert with the credit bureaus. Ivy had never opened accounts in my name that I could find, but I wasn't leaving a single damn crack in the armor. And then I created a new public brand, new social handles, a new portfolio site, a very strategic personal update post that explained, without ever naming names, that I was reclaiming my voice, my space, and my damn identity. The post went viral, people shared it, women commented by the dozens. I needed this today. Been there, survived that. And then Ivy reached out again. This time she showed up, at my door. I didn't answer, but I watched her on the Ring camera. She looked like a ghost, pale, rattled, holding her stomach like she thought it might make her seem more sympathetic. She said to the camera, "Ava, I didn't mean to hurt you. I don't know who I am anymore. Please, I don't want to lose you." I stood in the hallway staring at her image through the app. And for a split second, I almost cracked until I remembered the mirror selfie, the deleted messages, the wedding she almost torpedoed before it began. So I clicked End Live View and let the silence speak for me. The old me would have opened that door. The new me? She's already moved on. But before I close this chapter for good, there's one last scene to stage. And it's the ending they never saw coming. There's a very specific kind of quiet that comes after the war is over, not the peaceful kind. The kind that rings in your ears because you're so used to listening for explosions. That's where I was a week after Ivy showed up at my door, and I chose not to answer it. No texts, no calls, no smoke signals of desperation from her end either. And that silence told me something important. She finally ran out of versions of me to steal. So I did the one thing I hadn't done yet. I closed the story publicly, not with rage, not with a viral takedown, not with screenshots and scorched earth, with truth. I published a long-form essay on my news site. No names, no twins, no husband, just a woman talking about betrayal as erosion, how it doesn't always arrive like an earthquake. Sometimes it comes like water in the walls. Quiet, patient, destroying the foundation from the inside while everyone on the outside tells you how beautiful your house looks. I wrote about losing myself trying to be the good wife, the reliable sister, the understanding woman. I wrote about how betrayal doesn't just break your heart, it fractures your sense of reality, makes you doubt your memory, your instincts, your worth. And I wrote about the moment I stopped chasing answers and started choosing myself. It hit harder than I expected. Thousands of shares, emails from strangers who felt seen, messages from women who whispered their own stories into my inbox like confessions. Some thanked me, Some cried. Some said my words gave them the courage to leave. Jake never contacted me again. But Ivy did. One final time. Her message was short. I'm moving out of state. I won't bother you again. I just wanted to say, I'm sorry I built my life on trying to live yours. I stared at it for a long time, because that one sentence carried more honesty than she'd ever given me in 34 years. I didn't reply. Not out of cruelty, out of closure. You don't always need the last word to win. Sometimes silence is the verdict. 3 months later, my divorce finalized quietly. Jake signed without a fight. No theatrics, no courtroom drama, just the soft final click of a door closing. I sold the house, bought a smaller place downtown with huge windows and a rooftop view of the city. First night there, I slept on a mattress on the floor with champagne in a plastic cup, and the sound of traffic reminding me that the world was still moving, and so was I. June came over that weekend with takeout and that mischievous grin she always wears when she's proud of me. You know what the best revenge is, right? She asked. I smiled, no longer needing any. She raised her glass. Damn, look at you, all emotionally evolved and dangerous. The strangest part of all of it? I stopped seeing Ivy when I looked in the mirror. For the first time in my life, my reflection felt like mine alone. No shadows, no competition, no one trying to puppeteer my story from behind the scenes. Just me, whole, scarred, yes, smarter, colder in some ways, but also freer than I'd ever been. I didn't win because Jake lost his job. I didn't win because Ivy lost her grip on my identity. I won because I finally stopped auditioning for roles they cast me in. Wife, sister, savior, doormat. I fired myself from all of them and hired myself as the lead. If you're wondering whether I hate them, no. Hate requires a kind of emotional investment I no longer give to people who proved they couldn't handle my trust. I don't need revenge anymore. I already got something far more permanent, my life back.